Good morning and welcome to Horse Racing World Channel, your source for handicapping tips and horse racing news around the world. Today we're doing a Kentucky Derby preview, and this program is being simulcast at racingjason.com, the longtime website for Inside Racing radio program with Jason Levine. And thank you to Jason for this opportunity and this platform. Simulcast is actually not the right word for this. We are actually recording this on the Zoom platform, and then I am uploading this to Horse Racing World Channel at YouTube, and then we're actually sharing that link with the Racing Jason website. And the reason why we're doing it in this convoluted manner is YouTube has some very strict rules. I can do a live broadcast there, but if I want to bring on a co-host, we have to have more subscribers. I need to get up to 50 subscribers to have that capability on YouTube, which I'd much rather do. It's a better, cleaner website, and we can do it live if we want to. So if you're watching this and you haven't subscribed yet, please do. It's a free subscription. There's no charge for membership, and there never will be. And we can use the support. Eventually, we'll add the 50 subscribers so we can do this live next time if we choose to. But today it's recorded, and today we're talking about the Kentucky Derby. And I can't think of anybody better to be the first co-host on Horse Racing World Channel than my longtime cohort on the Inside Racing radio program. Welcome to Horse Racing World Channel, Mr. Steve Pollack. Good morning, Steve.
What an introduction, Jay. Good morning.
Yes. So we've had some exciting news as far as the Derby goes. Some interesting developments, and the most interesting one was yesterday when we found out that my radio pick for the Kentucky Derby, Tappan Street, suffered a condylar fracture. No, life-threatening situation here. Hopefully, Tappan Street or Tappan Street, excuse me, will be able to resume racing. But in the meantime, that leaves a big hole, and Brad Cox is now down to just the one runner. So Final Gambit, I believe, is that horse. So at this point, that changes a lot in the picture. How did you react to that?
Well, it's definitely a big scratch. The winner of the Florida Derby ran a very, very nice race, a tactical horse, always dangerous in the Derby, and a lightly raced horse, but, perhaps makes it a little bit easier for exotics. That was certainly a horse that I was planning on using. When I heard that you liked that horse, I had already liked that horse and, was in agreement with you that he was one of the ones. So I think it makes the handicapping a little bit easier. It does allow another speed horse to get in somehow. And, that's going to be the first thing I'm going to really focus on. But I think it's a very big scratch, Jay.
Yeah, so do I. And I just thought Tappan Street had a lot of upside. The numbers were relatively modest, but they were improving. And also, Tappan Street looked like he was improving with distance, which you can't say about this entire field. So, we'll see how this affects it. But certainly that was going to be one of my top three. And as we discussed, we're going to go through the entire field today by post position, and we'll each give our thumbnail reactions on how we think each of these contenders is going to do. And then at the end, we're going to give our top three contenders to win the race. So, Steve, why don't we start? Let's take this by post position. And why don't we start with the rail horse, and we can alternate. You can go first on post position number one, and I'll take number two, and so forth. So, what do you think of the chances of horse number one, Citizen Bull from the Bob Baffert barn, the defending Breeders' Cup juvenile champion?
Now, ironically, after Baffert had to serve this suspension, his horses draw very poorly. I almost think if you could put the fix on, you would put one of them in the one hole and maybe one in the 3 or 4 hole, just to not be so suspicious that they were in 1 and 2. But Citizen Bull draws the rail. Jay, I don't think he wants to go this far. The rail is a terrible spot for this horse to be. There is a lot of other speed in here. This Derby reminds me, and this horse being one of them, this reminds me of the 2001 Derby that was won by the Florida Derby winner Monarchos. And it looks like Citizen Bull is going to have to go from the inside. And I think he's going to get Cook City. I do not like this horse, other than the fact that he's trained by Bob Baffert. I do not think this horse is a contender, and I do not think he will hit the board.
Steve, I tend to be in agreement with you. I was struck by the fact that Citizen Bull cleared off by a length at the second call, so there wasn't an inordinate amount of pressure in a five-horse field, and he seemed to just fold on his own under very modest pressure. I didn't think the fractions were all that taxing, and yet he just had nothing in the stretch. Not only finishing behind the early likely race favor journalism, but also Baeza, who is hoping to get in. He's just on the bubble now. He's one horse away from getting in. So I think Citizen Bull, like for you, also for me, Citizen Bull is a toss. So let's look at horse number two. Neo Equus. Neo Equus is from the Safi Joseph barn. Safi is primarily stable down at Gulfstream Park, but he has starters in New York. He has some starters in Kentucky. This one actually finished third in the Florida Derby, just behind Sovereignty, about 2 3/4 length, and Sovereignty had beaten before. Rounding into form, I don't know if he's quite up to this. I didn't like the fact that he lost some ground in 1 16th and 1 1/8 after making the lead in the stretch, finished even farther behind. Flavian Pratt rides this one, but I don't think this is Flavian's first choice if things go well. What do you think of Neo Equus's chances, Steve?
He's one I don't want to spend much time on. He's in a terrible spot being in the two post position. He's got speed, and that is not going to be a good thing for him, Jay. This horse is a line out for me. I mean, this is a two-time winner, and the horse's two wins are both sprinting. Doesn't look like the longer distance is any good for him. Biggest plus is the jock. I do not like this horse at all to hit the board.
Yeah, I don't think much of the chances either. I certainly don't have given much of a chance on the win end. Could this one sneak up into the superfecta, say, under Flavian Pratt? Yeah, it's possible, but it's such a deep, talented field that even that's unlikely. So I think
No
we're on the
chance
same
for
page.
me. No chance of the superfecta for this horse. I don't see it, but again, anything can happen. We saw a $200 horse win a couple of years ago, but I do not like this horse on the board.
Exactly. Steve, what do you think of the number three horse, the other Brad Cox entry, Final Gambit?
Got all the requirements that I like to run a big race in here. I like the trip he's going to get, and I like the fact that this race completely sets up for this horse. Those are the pluses. The minuses are the two horses that have come from this turfway race, and this obviously is a turfy looking horse. The two horses that have run well were Animal Kingdom, who was a complete freak a few years back and won it, and a horse that you liked a couple of years ago named Two Phils. Now, Two Phils to me was a much better horse, or had much better numbers coming in. In fact, Two Phils' numbers were extremely competitive with the rest of them. It was really a matter whether he could handle the surface. So Final Gambit is going to have to run faster. If you watch him on tape, you will really like this horse. What I also really like about this horse is the jockey Lon Machado just won the meet over at Turfway. He's a very good rider. I watched Turfway very, very closely this meet. So that's really good. The trainer is Brad Cox, and the style is perfect. Where all the speed is down on the inside. This guy should just be able to stay right where he is, take way back, stay exactly there. Doesn't have to worry about any traffic way at the back of the pack. The problem is he fast enough? Can he handle dirt? He's an outsider looking in, but at 30, 40 to 1, it's not a bad horse to use in your exotics.
Exactly. What I like about Final Gambit is this one closed ground in the stretch in every single race. And there are very few horses in here you can say that about, where there are a lot of distance questions. When you look at the breeding, Not This Time has been a very good turf sire, but is out of Giants Causeway, who of course has gotten plenty of winners on both dirt and turf. And you've got Tappet breeding on the bottom, which is absolutely dirt breeding. So even though this one has not run on the dirt, I think they actually looked at that breeding and meant this one more for the turf or for synthetics. I think he's got everything that he needs to take to a dirt race. So, yeah, I think Final Gambit is one to fear in that last fraction. Let's look at the other Baffert horse that you alluded to. That's number 4, Rodriguez. Rodriguez is a horse that has been developing. Finished behind Citizen Bull in the Robert B. Lewis. Finished behind Journalism, and then went to New York and put a big figure together and cleared the field. Normally, when you add blinkers to a horse, it sharpens the speed, but in this case, really helped Rodriguez take those blinkers off because he was spending too much. Unlike Final Gambit, The last two times Rodriguez lost ground in the stretch, and this time, the distance was a little bit shorter too, but cleared and really was never threatened by anybody in the race. I think Rodriguez is the better chance of the two Baffert horses based on improving form. What do you think?
If it weren't for Baffert, I would definitely throw this horse out. And I am not going to use this horse, but I do fear this horse a little bit because of the Baffert factor. But Rodriguez has run his best race very simply looking in the form, forgetting about figures because his figures are fast enough. He does have numbers that are good enough to win this race. But if you look at this horse, he needs the lead. His best races are on the lead, Jay. And if this horse tries to go to the lead, the way the race shape is with the inside two horses that we've already talked about, we're going to get to some more speed outside of this horse, including American Promise, the next horse we're going to do. And then even to the horse that got in on the far outside, the 20 horse is very fast. And there's a horse shipping from Japan that has shown nothing but speed. I just don't see how Rodriguez is going to get the right trip. The connections are very good. He's definitely bred to run this far. I'm going to pass on Rodriguez, who has a lot of really good pluses, and I maybe put him on a wild card ticket. I like to play some crazy superfectas in this race, and I might put this horse on one ticket, but the majority of my tickets, and I probably will play three big tickets in this race, he is going to be off.
Yeah. See, the problem I have with Rodriguez is I don't think his price is going to justify using him as much. I mean, because it's Baffert, I think this horse will probably be, I'd say, under 6 to 1 would be my guess. So you're not going to get rich betting Rodriguez. He's the type that I'd like to bet against and just hope I'm right. So
I
you
think he'll
just
be closer to 12 or 15, Jay. I really do because of the way the pace is, but you could be right. I'm not going to be shocked if they bet a Baffert. So I'm going to just say that we disagree, but you could certainly be right on this one. But again, I think we're both in the same boat here. We're going to pass. We're certainly not going to be shocked if Baffert wins another Derby boat. I think we're both passing on this horse.
definitely not going to be in my final three. So you alluded to the next one, Steve. What do you think of American Promise's chances from the Dwayne Lucas barn?
Well, he's coming from an interesting prep here, Jay. This prep at Colonial, I was really watching Colonial very carefully that day. That was right during the middle of the NHC. And this is a race that is a 1-turn mile and an eighth, kind of a unique thing for a horse to come in off a 1-turn race. I was thinking that the horse would be really good in the 1-turn mile, the Pat Day mile that they run. And I do not think this is the right spot for this horse. He showed a lot of speed last time. I'm not sure how they can rate or where they're going to be. I respect Dwayne Lucas. Source does not remind me of Charismatic. Charismatic had more the right style and got the right trip. I don't think this horse is going to get a trip other than Dwayne Lucas. I like nothing about this horse. He's a toss for me.
Yeah, he just seems a little over his skis, outclassed. Was never really competitive in any graded races, and I think that the Virginia Derby was kind of a soft rendition of that. The horse he beat is not in second place was one I don't think very highly of. Total pass for me as well. So let's move down to number eight. Or number six, excuse me, Admire Daytona, one of the Japanese entries here. This one via way of the Middle East, where he just won the UAE Derby by a nose. This one finished behind Luxor Cafe in a couple of occasions and actually beat Luxor Cafe in. No, actually, they were a nose apart. He almost beat Luxor Cafe in a minor race in Japan. Luxor Cafe, who was the next one up, probably looks like the better of the two, but this one gained valuable experience. And at a mile and 3/16, that's a trip that's almost close to the mile and a quarter trip of the Derby. I've always wondered why they don't ever use longer preps than a mile and an eighth. They almost never do. And I would personally try to get them more acclimated. Maybe it's because they just want them to be fresh going a mile and a quarter for the first time. There just aren't that many preps longer than a mile and an eighth. But this one certainly should have no problem getting the distance. The question is he good enough? From what I can see, I'd be surprised if this one hit the board.
Jay, I don't think this horse is a distance horse. I think the longer he goes is actually going to be the worse for him. And I'll tell you for two reasons. One is I did watch very closely the last two tapes. I do like to watch the tapes on these horses. This horse was on the wrong lead coming down the stretch, which tells me that he was getting very tired. That nose wind was, I thought, a little bit counterfeited by the way he was running in the stretch, A. And B, if you look at the pedigree on this one, this horse, the Sire de Frong, was a sprint was a Breeders' Cup Sprint winner. I think this horse is bred to run shorter. His style looks like he wants to run shorter. He also looks like a speed horse to me, and I don't know where he's going to be in the middle of all of this. I think this horse is a horse that we can try to beat, that may get some action. Do not like this horse, and he will not be on any of my tickets.
Yeah, he's not gonna be on mine either. I think the horse has talent, but I just think he's in at a level higher than he's ever faced before here, and I think it's going to catch up with him. But then we have, interestingly enough, the other Japanese entry, number seven, Luxor Cafe. This one's beaten Admire Daytona on a couple of occasions. What do you think of his chances?
Boy, on tape, he's great. I mean, on tape, he's 15-1, and he's very strong in here. He could not look any better on tape. I think he has the pedigree. I think he draws pretty well in here. I don't know much about the rider, but I hear he's a champion over there, which I think is a factor. And I also think trip-wise, this horse should get a wonderful trip. With all the speed down to his inside, should be able to move over, save some ground, and really going to get first run on the deep closers, which might not be the right thing for this race, but I think he'll get a clean trip in here. It's really going to be right at the top of the stretch, whether this guy gets that run or whether he's stopped. And if this guy gets the run, he certainly looks the part on tape. I think this horse is a contender in here.
Yeah, so do I, Steve. One thing I do like about Luxor Cafe, the trainer is not well known here, Noriyuki Hori. Some of you might remember a few months ago, he shipped out during the Breeders' Cup season a horse named Santo Carnival. And that horse was really working lights out. I know Bruno liked the work pattern a lot. And unfortunately, this horse ran up the track in that race. However, the trainer Noriyuki Hori is well known for his ability to ship. He hasn't shipped many over here, but generally he's shipped out in other Asian venues like to Hong Kong and to Australia, and he's always shipped very well. This trainer is very talented, flies under the radar. Ryan Moore, one of the top riders in the world, thought enough to ride him in one of his earlier efforts. He has not been tested for class, no graded or group competition yet, but this one will be ready for his best. And off that big 5 lengths win over Japanese company, I think he's a legitimate contender in here.
Now, remember, the Japanese had two horses here last year, and they both hit the super high five. Fifth
Yeah,
place finish on the longer shot, and then the horse that should have won the race, Jay. So, we can't just close our eyes. In my eyes, a Japanese horse has won this race because without a doubt, the best horse last year was the Japanese horse. So keeping that in mind, you're not trying to do something. Don't try to rewrite the book in these races. If you're trying to do something, and this has been done already, you're in my eyes. Again, I'm making an adjustment. I think the horse should have won last year. I think that bodes well for this horse's chances.
yeah, absolutely. So next, we're going to tackle the likely betting favorite here, and that's number 8 Journalism from Michael McCarthy and Umberto Rispoli. And they're having a huge meet both separately and together this year. They're hitting for 29% wins together. Journalism lost his first race sprinting in a distance that was clearly too much and has not made a mistake since, winning 4 straight races in ever increasing time against ever increasing class levels from grade twos to the grade one Santa Derby and going longer each time. And each time for each win, certainly accelerated and lost no ground in the stretch, actually gained ground in each of them. Last time faced a tough customer in Beza and just beat Beza on the square. And Beza will be very tough as well if he gets in here, and his chances are improving with the most recent scratch up to Pan Street. But yeah, certainly this one has no reason not to doubt being one of the top contenders in the race. The only question is he's been facing very small fields, 5 horse fields, and I have to wonder. He just destroyed Rodriguez in the San Felipe, and Beza was very close, and we'll just have to see what he can do with the 20 horse field. But certainly like the draw here in the 8 post. That's about as good a draw as you can get for the Kentucky Derby. So Journalism has to be considered a very serious contender. And again, I think he's the likely favorite in the race. What do you think?
Well, I couldn't agree with everything you said is right about him. I do have a concern with him. My concern is that everybody on the inside of this horse is speedy. And I think Journalism is tactical. And I think his jockey is a turf jockey that I love. I love Rispoli, believe me. And I don't want to see anything more than him break through in here. But my fear with this horse is that he moves right over to the inside and right around the turn, right when the whole thing starts. Is this horse going to get in trouble? That would be my concern with him. I think he's closer to the pace, which I don't think is going to help because I think the pace is going to be so fast. But he's run the best races. To me, he's the best horse in the race, the most qualified horse in the race. A lot of the horses, numbers wise, I'm not going to bring up rag numbers or I'm not going to bring up thoroughgraph numbers, but I have looked at both. A lot of the horses, numbers wise, have gotten to one number. This horse has gotten to that number twice in a row. Actually, ran a little faster in the San Felipe than he did in the Santa Anita Derby. Definitely qualified to win. What I didn't like about his last race was when he got behind horses on the far turn, he was spinning his wheels behind that horse. And until Rispoli got him out, it was trouble. But when Rispoli got him out, he got outside and he accelerated beautifully. That could happen again in here. That would be my worry about him. Most likely winner in the race, but he's also likely to have trouble. And at a short price, I'm going to try to beat him in the win end. I'm certainly using him in all the spots in the superfecta.
Yeah, it's interesting what you said. If his figure was lower on Ragozin sheets in the San Diego Derby than in the San Felipe, which is a longer race, the San Diego Derby, if you extrapolate from that, you would think that theoretically those numbers would probably be slightly lower for the mile and a quarter distance from Kentucky Derby. Now, that still might be enough to win, but is a mile and a quarter his best trip? We're going to find out in a week. So, Burnham Square, Steve, what do you think?
I think this is the horse that's going to get the perfect trip because this horse has Brian Hernandez riding. Now, I'm going to be, it's going to sound kind of contrarian, but he's got a little less speed than journalism has, which I really like what this guy's going to be able to do. With all the horses to his inside, he's going to break and he's going to move right over to the rail. I promise you, this horse will move right over the rail. Here's another thing I like about him. The Keeneland race, the Bluegrass race has been a little bit disappointing the last 7 or 8 years. So again, you got conflicting information. The horses that have won that race have not run particularly well, but at Keeneland during that meet, speed was king going into that race. This horse closed quite a bit of ground. That was really, really against the bias. The numbers there, he's improving. I like the pedigree. I like the rider. I like the trip he's going to get, and I like the price. A lot to like about Burnham Square. I think he's going to run well.
As do I. As people look at the past performances, this one ran the Fountain of Youth in Florida, finished behind Sovereignty and Neo Equus, who we've talked about earlier. But this one is still improving, and a mile and 16th just didn't seem like nearly enough. I think this one needed more ground. A little surprised he dropped 11 lengths back, going a mile and an eighth, but it worked. And Hernandez got him to relax and flew late and ground down that winner, barely getting up by a nose. Yeah, I think Burnham Square, despite that big drop back in the early calls, will get first run on some of the deep closers in the race that like we've talked about, like Final Gambit and Sovereignty. I think turning for home, Burnham Square will be ahead of those other closers, and I think we'll be in a little better position. Of course, he'll have to make the lead and then hold them off because they'll be coming too. But yeah, I think Burnham Square is a legitimate contender here.
Jay,
Uh,
if you don't mind me saying something, in this race, with as fast as the pace is going to be, to
yeah,
me, first run is not important. What's important is that you're in the clear. I think the best horse will win at a mile and a quarter, and I think at a shorter distance, I think first run is very important. But in this race with this much speed, I think if you're 20th or you're 16th or you're 12th, I don't think it's going to make a difference. I think the best horse that gets a clean trip, the best horse will win. So to me, the first run thing, 99% of the time, I agree with that. I like having first run. I don't think it's going to be important in this race just because of there's so much speed in here. I think it's less important to get first run in here.
okay. Yeah, I can totally see that. And I was very surprised, by the way. You rarely see this with these quality of horses, but Burnham Square was actually in for a big tag in his debut, 150,000. And the connections were very lucky that nobody bit because you could have bought this horse for a price much less than he'd be worth today. So you sometimes you sneak them by and you get away with one, and they certainly did in this case. Let's talk about number 10, Grande, from the Todd Pletcher barn. Bruno had mentioned that Todd Pletcher didn't seem to have his usual stable of top contenders this year, kind of a modest year for Pletcher. This one's very lightly raced, a maiden race, an optional claimer, and then a good second in the wood to Rodriguez, and a surprisingly short price, but it is Pletcher, and Pletcher always gets bet in New York, just like Bob Baffert always gets bet in California. This one is certainly like Tapan Street, who's no longer in the race. Very, very lightly raced, still developing. Gave made a modest run at Rodriguez, but he was well clear. But he did close a little ground on Rodriguez in the stretch. And this one certainly has some upside. How much upside is the question? I do know that our good friend Jason Levine has mentioned this horse on the show, and certainly liked him that day in the wood. I think Grande is someone that you have to look at for improvement, but how much improvement?
Well, Jay, I liked his race. I thought his race was better than the winner in there, and actually on the numbers, he ran a little bit faster, even though he was beaten by Rodriguez, and that's why I like things like Thoroughgraph, because you can get a faster number out of a horse because of ground loss. There was an inside speed bias as well. A little bit of fear with a couple things here. I'm not a huge J.R. Velasquez fan in a race where you got to get a great trip. I don't know that he's going to gamble if he needs to go inside. So there are riders that I would rather have in this situation. I hate to knock a Hall of Famer, but I don't particularly like him in this spot. But this horse has the pedigree to improve, and I think I'm going to include him in a small way on at least half of my supers. Not all in on this horse, but I think he's got a shot.
Yeah, I think he's going to be a huge price. So unlike Rodriguez, who I think we were not quite clear on how, I speculate Rodriguez will be closer to 6 to 1. You could be very well right that he'll be more like 10 or 12 to 1. In a talented field like this, sometimes you do get a price. Grande, I think, will easily be 20 to 1, if
Yeah, I
not
agree.
more. So this is definitely the type that can. He's never been out of the exacta. Seems to be improving with every race. The speed figure took a major jump forward in the last time in the last outing in the wood. So this is definitely the type that can clunk up from the back at a price. And really, he's not a clunker upper. I mean, he's got some tactical speed. Rodriguez just cleared and made everybody else look like they were deep closers. But this one was at the first call was less than 2 lengths off the pace. So I think Grande is definitely a factor to hit the board. And if he gets everything his own way, who knows? I mean, this horse certainly has upside to improve. Is the same thing true about the next entrant who was in the final Gambit race at Turfway Park, Flying Mohawk?
I didn't really like his race on tape as much as I liked Final Gambit, and the number is very slow. The pedigree doesn't, it's not terrible, but it looks a little bit more turfy and a little bit more synthetic, which is what he's been running at. The Connections did have a horse in here last year. I mean, I'm going to try to beat this horse. He's not a horse that I like, but he's got the right style. I'm going to pass on Flying Mohawk. He looks like a synthetic or a turf horse to me.
Totally agree. I think those numbers are some of the slowest numbers in the field. They are improving. In fact, this one's improved his bris number every race. He certainly had, first run on Flying Gambit, but then Flying Gambit flew right by him. Yeah, I think the connections are modest. Whit Beckworth and Joseph Ramos, certainly have never won a Derby individually or collectively. I just think Flying Mohawk is overmatched here, but this is a good horse to watch for in some of those Midwest races after the Triple Crown Trail, like the Indiana Derby and the Ohio Derby. This is the perfect kind of horse for races like that, and I think you'll see Flying Mohawk make his name more in races like that. If this one won, this would be like a mind that bird like surprise to me. Um, so next, we're going to talk about one of the horses I'm very fond of, and that's number 12, East Avenue. East Avenue, what I like about him, he draws outside most of the speed. And if you look at his fractions, he's the only one at the second call with sub 47 fractions, 46.4 both times. And in the Risen Star, obviously, he was not cranked up for that and just really got destroyed in that one, and just they didn't persevere with him late when he just folded like a house of cards. The Breeders' Cup Juvenile, where he was actually favored off a Grade One win, and there's not many Grade One winners in here, was a complete throwout. He basically, after he stumbled, he could never get in. This horse needs to be on the lead. He's not going to make up ground. On the other hand, when he does make the lead, you've seen in the 2 wins and the one almost win last time in the Bluegrass, He's very tough and very game. Burnham Square came to him, and he fought every step of the way down the stretch and just barely caved late. I think East Avenue is coming up to this at the right time. I think he puts away the rest of the speed, including Citizen Bull, and we'll see how much it takes out of him. He's got to boost that last speed figure up. A 97 Brisk figure is not going to win in this one, but I just think he's coming to this race the right way. And I think he's a serious factor. I think he survives the pace duel and goes on and is leading at the top of the stretch. Whether he's leading at the end of the stretch, that's a different question. He's going to have to run the race of his life, but I think he just might be up to it.
Well, we're going to disagree on this horse, Jay. Two things I don't like about him. One, he's part of what looks to be an incredible speed brigade to me, and he's not the farthest outside. The horse on the far outside has got speed too. If that horse were to scratch, I would like his chances a little bit better trip-wise. But the fact that he's got a horse outside of him that's going to be very speedy, maybe he's the speed of the speed, but there still is a lot of speed in here. Intrinsically, they're just going to run faster earlier, so I don't like that. I did not like his bluegrass, and the reason I didn't like his bluegrass was twofold. One is when he was running down the stretch, he was on the wrong lead. That's telling me he's sucking air and that he does not want to go this far. So I think East Avenue might be a horse maybe for the Met Mile later on down the road, maybe for a shorter distance. That's one. Two, again, to me, the way the pace is in here, I just don't think it sets up for this horse. And I thought that the track at Keeneland was very, very speed favoring. To me, there were so many horses going a distance of ground there that were winning wire to wire early in that meet that this horse was with the big bias. On the wrong lead, with the big bias, two disappointing races before that. Part of the speed brigade, he's a toss for me.
Okay. And now we go to the maiden in the field, Publisher. And of course, a maiden's never won this race before. Could Publisher be the first?
Well, it's hard to believe that Irad Ortiz can't get a good mount in this race. He's never won this race, and he seems like he's always got a horse that is not really a contender. I did not think the Arkansas Derby was a very visually appealing race. Sandman was sort of all over the track. The pace was incredibly fast, and this guy just sort of flopped for second. The number's a little bit short. He's going to have to really improve, and this horse has already run 6 times before that, and none of those races would even put him close. He did run his best race in blinkers. If you're looking for a caveat with him and you want to bet Irad Ortiz, I think he gets a trip. I just think he's too slow.
Yeah, those numbers don't measure up, and he certainly came. He was the only one that was making up ground to Sandman in the stretch, but couldn't pass that one, who was not running a straight course. I think Publisher has a future. I don't think that future is next Saturday. So number 14, Tistastic, from the Steve Asmussen barn, Joel Rosario, one of the best riders in the country. This one went a long way between wins after winning some, non-graded and allowance type competition, ran in several graded stakes and finished in the money in most of them. And then had a very disappointing Rebel where he finished well behind Coal Battle and Sandman. And then last time out, ran in the Louisiana Derby. Maybe not the toughest rendition of that race, and certainly was the dominant horse there over Chunk of Gold. That was a 1.3/16 race. Again, one of those rare races that's close to the 1.25 distance. So he was pulling away at the end. So we know, if nothing else, Tistastic should be able to handle the distance. What do you think of Tistastic, Steve?
The winner of this race for the Louisiana Derby has been a price horse in the Kentucky Derby the last 15 or so years. They haven't necessarily won a lot of them, won a couple, but they have run well in here. I mean, other than his last race, I don't like much about this horse. He was okay last time. I think it was a bad rendition of that Louisiana Derby. In his time, the horse that you mentioned a little bit earlier, that Rosario rode, that was the favorite, that ran a great second, that won this race a couple of years ago. And again, I'm sorry, the name escapes me. That race was 2 seconds faster than this one, maybe a second and a half faster. So it was a pretty slow rendition of the Louisiana Derby. He's got a shot on style. He's got a shot on the trainer and the rider. I don't like much else about him. He may be a small flopper on some of my tickets on the bottom, but not on half of them.
Yeah. And now we come to the horse that drew into the race yesterday when Tapan Street unfortunately suffered that condylar fracture and could not make the Derby. Rendered Judgment. A surprise, if nothing else. What do you think of Render Judgment's chances?
I think it's a shame that he's in the race because wasn't really a contender in the race. They said they weren't going to run him in the race. And now you got a horse like Baeza that they're just keeping on the outside looking in. And I mean, obviously Baeza ran a very, very good race in the Santa Anita Derby that's competitive, and he probably still gets in, but then he's going to be stuck on the outside if one of these horses goes out. But to me, I don't know why they put this horse in the race. It just is overmatched numbers wise. Just, it's Kenny McPeak. I like. That's about it. I'm going to pass on this horse.
Yeah, I think this is easily the horse with the worst resume in the entire race. This horse has basically just won a maiden and nothing else, and barely did that. Certainly, the numbers are some of the slowest in the field. Even the trainer Kenny McPeak, who had a lot of success last year, has said, he advised against running this horse in the race and wanted to go for some easier company. Some of those races coming up, like the Indiana Derby, and the Ohio Derby, would be a much better fit. He was never really a contender versus Burnham Square and East Avenue and the Bluegrass, and I think he's well overmatched. I know Jason has always said you don't want to throw out one horse, and certainly if you decide to play horizontal exotics where you wheel the Kentucky Derby field, which is often a popular angle because the Kentucky Derby has brought home some big prices with a big field. But nevertheless, I probably wouldn't throw out just one horse in here. There are several I would throw out. Render Judgment is at the top of that list, just completely does not belong here. So let's look at Cole Battle. Cole Battle was on a nice streak against some minor competition. Certainly did pretty well in those ungraded races down there in the southwest, in the southeast, and the southwest, and then popped up and won the Rebel at a nice price. And looked good doing it, pulling away at a mile and a 16th, at a mile and an eighth, the Arkansas Derby distance, well behind Sandman and the maiden publisher, lost a lot of ground in the stretch. And when you lose a lot of ground at a mile and an eighth, I don't think it says a lot for your chances going a mile and a quarter. Plus the fact that this one's on the outside, Cole Battle's a toss for me. What do you think?
I didn't like his last race at all. The previous couple races were good. He is not that far behind numbers wise. I'm kind of agreeing with you here in that I think this might be a little bit too far. It's got the right style, and I don't think the draw is bad for this horse. 30 to 1. Not for me, but is a horse that I may put on one ticket. Again, I'm going to play at least 3 tickets of superfectas, and I do invest a little bit of serious dough in this race. I think I might use him on one ticket just in case there's a complete meltdown, but I can't really see him better than third or fourth, and more than likely, Jay, I don't think this horse will be on the board.
Yeah, I don't think so either. And I think third and fourth would be optimistic. And yet, the horse is not without talent and has certainly won the majority of his races. So not a complete toss, but about as close to a complete toss as I can get. I'm not that impressed with the connections. Lonnie Briley and Juan Vargas have never sniffed winning a big race like this. And, I don't think this is going to be the first day they do. But then we have probably a little more serious contender that just beat this one in the Arkansas Derby, and that's number 17, Sandman. What do you think?
I'm going to go with my first impression of that race to say that race, the winner of that race, is not going to win this race. They just were not running straight in that race. They really looked tired. There were other races run that day at similar distances by older horses that were much faster. These horses came home in 13 seconds. I mean, they were really, really struggling at the end there. I'm going to say I like the connections in here. I think 6 to 1 is too short. I think if I was making the morning line on this horse, it would probably be 12 or 15. So it's a pass for me on Sandman at a shorter price. I might have him on some bottom tickets. I probably will not have him in the top spot. He could flop up, but for me, Sandman is a pass.
He will be on some of my tickets. I like that last figure, and I like the way he won that race. I didn't like, however, the way he was just swaying in the
Yeah,
stretch like a drunken sailor.
I
Uh,
hear you.
Yeah, and this was not a green horse. That was Sandman's eighth race, so he should be better schooled than that by now. And certainly, Mark Cassie is a very gifted trainer who knows what he's doing. So I just think Sandman probably has too many ifs at this point, where I'd consider him a top contender. But I do consider Sandman a contender, and would not be surprised at all if this one hits the board and will probably be a moderate price. It will not be the favorite. Will probably be nowhere close to what journalism is, but he could be anywhere from 5 to 1 to 12 to 1, and the price wouldn't surprise me. I'll be very curious to see what the betting action is on Sandman. Number 18, Sovereignty. This was the near winner of the Florida Derby behind the ill-fated Tapan Street, who I hope comes back and resumes his career. Maybe not till he's a 4-year-old, but yeah, hopefully he doesn't go straight to the breeding shed and he can show what he was going to show us before the injury. Sovereignty closed nicely in the Florida Derby. Didn't quite get to Tapan Street, who got first run, but mile and a quarter off at a mile and an eighth. Certainly, this one looks like he's meant for a mile and a quarter. On the downside, Sovereignty, recorded that Florida Derby number did not come back particularly fast. I didn't see the rag number on it, but the brisk speed figure of 94 is one of the slowest Derby prep figures in the race, and he's going to have to get a trip. He's breaking from the outside, and I've never liked closers like this one breaking from the outside. Everything really needs to go Sovereignty's way, and won't be in my top three. A win would not shock me. It's Bill Mott and it's Junior Alvarado, but I think this one has a lot more growing up to do, and I don't think next week is the week that he does that.
All right. Well, I completely disagree. I think the perfect draw for him is outside because there's so much speed. Jay, I think this horse is going to be at the back of the pack, which this is a race that I don't think getting first run is important. I loved his race at Gulfstream, the Fountain of Youth. I love the fact that he was outside on a track that you want to be inside in the mile and an eighth race where he ran second to Tapan Street. I also love the fact that they did not need to win the Florida Derby. They were already in. So I think Mott's got this horse perfectly prepped. I also like the fact that he has a back win here at Churchill, which was a dynamic win. In fact, it was a 5-length win. And I think the trip for this horse is going to be perfect. I could not pick a better post with all the speed in here. I think he wants to be outside. And I think if you look at his early pace numbers from Brisnet, he might be the slowest horse early. And Jay, I don't think it's an advantage for any horse to have a little bit more speed in this particular race because there's going to be that accordion effect. I like where Sovereignty is going to be 18th, 19th, 20th early, because if I'm right about the pace and those front runners come back as fast as they're going to come back, horses like the favorite are going to get that first run, whether they get through or not. This guy is going to be circling, going to the outside. He's going to be in the clear. And I think first, second, or third is in the cards for Sovereignty. He's my top pick.
Oh, top pick, pretty impressive. So yeah, I do think Sovereignty certainly has a solid chance in here to hit the board. I don't know that he's not my favorite to win the race, but certainly if this one came spurting late like he did in that Street Sense race at this very track from the outside post, I would not be the least bit surprised. I just think he's going to have to navigate the right trip to get there. And I try in a big field like this. I tend to bet against horses that have to navigate that trip. That doesn't mean he's not going to get it. Number 19, Chunk of Gold. This one just finished behind Tistastic in Louisiana Derby. Lost ground in the stretch at a mile and 3/16 as Tistastic pulled away late. This one is also breaking from the outside. The number was decent. It wasn't off the charts. I think Chunk of Gold is lightly raced and has room to improve, but I just think he's up against it today against this talented field. I do like that last work at Turfway Park. So certainly coming into this the right way, but I think he's a little overmatched here.
Well, I mean, if you don't like Tistastic, and I'm sort of barely on the fence with Tistastic, it's hard to like this horse based on the tape in the race before. He was a 9-length loser, even though he finished second in the Risen Star. To me, this horse is not a contender. I'm going to toss Chunk of Gold.
Okay. Number 20, Owen Almighty, kind of surprised some people by running here. They were kind of on the fence here. What do you think of Owen Almighty's chances?
I think he's a key to my philosophy in this race. because he's outside of East Avenue and on the far outside, what choice does this horse have? I mean, they're saying they're going to try to rate this horse. What choice do they have? This is a very fast horse. If they rate this horse and they make him fifth or sixth, he's going to go 8 wide. He already has no chance. He's a Speightstown. But if you're going to try, you got to go early. And I just don't see them doing anything but showing speed from the outside. And I don't think this horse has any chance to hit the board, but I certainly think he has a big chance to influence who can win this race.
Yeah, I definitely think he's part of that pace brigade, and we'll see how significant. When I look at the fractions, the Tampa Bay Derby fraction of 48 wasn't very impressive. However, he does sandwich a couple of 46 efforts at route distances, a 46-1 at the Sam Davis race at Tampa Bay Downs, and a 46-4 in the East Avenue Burnham Square race in the Bluegrass. So certainly this one can attend the pace. And we'll see, if this one breaks on top, it could frustrate a lot of the other speed. If he doesn't, get to, right to the front, I think basically he's not even gonna be a factor in the race. Certainly I do not have him winning the race, but like you, I think he could spoil the party for a lot of people. And then finally, we're going to talk about number 21, Beza, the only also eligible in the race, surprisingly. Normally, the also eligible is a little bit deeper. And as you mentioned, unfortunately, because they decided to enter render judgment, Beza is not in yet and doesn't get a better chance at a better draw than this. However, this one's certainly coming to hand the right way. Huge bump up from the maiden race to the Santa Ana Derby. 107 brisk figure, just off journalism and well clear of the rest of the field, including Citizen Bull. Certainly, this one is improving and coming to hand the right way. Gotta like the jock who prefers him if he gets in. What do you think of Beza's chances, assuming he gets in the race?
Well, I mean, a horse was in the also eligible that got in and paid $200 a couple of years ago. And this horse certainly isn't going to pay that. He's very talented. I thought it was a very good Santa Anita Derby. I've had some people that I really respect tell me they did not like the race that he ran. I really liked it. What I will say about the Santa Anita Derby race that he ran is, for some reason that day there was a lot of kickback on the track, and horses that were coming from off the pace were doing better. And it was a closer's track, which is very unusual at Santa Anita. I don't know what we had there for 2 weeks, but it was really strange. And this horse, I thought for sure that would be a speed track, being Santa Anita Derby day. But this horse was with the bias, although he lost a lot of ground. And I thought he ran a very good second. And if Pratt can work a trip out from out there, this horse is going to have a chance. He'll be on some of my tickets. Personally, I think he's going to be too close to the fast pace. I think one of the deep closers is going to get him late. I think he's more likely for third, fourth than he is for first, second, but he's certainly a contender.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Steve, we've gone over the entire field. Now it's time to give out our top three picks as far as who we think can win this race next week. And why don't you go first?
All right. Well, I'm going to go 3-2-1 in here. My number 3 call is going to be the favorite journalism, number 8. And I'm putting him third based on the fact that I think he's the most talented horse, but I don't think he's going to get the right trip. My second horse is going to be Burnham Square. And I think there are more talented horses in here, but I think he is the trip horse in here. And I'm putting him second. And my top horse is going to be the 18-horse Sovereignty, who I think will get the right trip. And I'm very interested to see what kind of late reports I get on Luxor Cafe. I'm going to say he's an honorable mention. For fourth, I will have him on top on some super tickets. But for me, we're going to leave him off of that top 3, but he would be my honorable mention horse of that top 3.
Interesting. We're not that far off, Steve. My third pick of the top 3 is Luxor Cafe. I just think the Japanese have really come to hand. I think this is one of the better Japanese shippers that we've seen. I think the trainer is really under the radar, and I think this one's going to be a big price in here. I'd be surprised if Luxor Cafe isn't a minimum of 15-1, and I can't leave him out of my top 3. So just like you, I don't think he'll be any surprise. My number 2 pick is East Avenue. I just think he puts away the speed. I was very impressed with how game he was in that Bluegrass race. And I know the Bluegrass hasn't been the best indicator in recent years, but I just think East Avenue is going to give the other speed all it can handle. And we'll see if he has anything left after that duel. And my top pick is Burnham Square. Burnham Square, I think, is coming to hand the right way. Very impressed with how he just ground down East Avenue. And I just think that style is very well made for a mile and a quarter. So with Tapan Street out of the race, Burnham Square is my number one pick. And I think he's going to run a big one.
Well, I like both of your Luxor Cafe and your Burnham Square. I think they're both going to be value, Jay. They both look like they're going to get trips to me. And I think that's just super important. I love where both of those horses are drawn for you, Jay. They just, with all the speed to their inside, I think those two horses are really going to get trips. And again, where I couldn't agree with you more on those two, I don't like East Avenue because of the pace scenario and because he was on the wrong lead and with the speed bias. So I'm passing on East Avenue, but I'm agreeing with you wholeheartedly on Burnham Square and Luxor Cafe. Another comment on Luxor Cafe. One thing we don't have the luxury of, Jay, is looking at these horses on the track. And I always feel that when you want to bet a horse that's coming from overseas, you really want to look at those horses on the track. They often tip their hand. They're not at home. They're definitely on the road. And you can tell whether a horse is comfortable or not. And I think it'd be very important if you're planning on betting Luxor Cafe to take a good look at him, see how he's acting in the paddock. He certainly looked good. I did watch the pre-race in some of his other races, and he's looked very good and very professional. I expect the same, but as a 3-year-old horse, this is a new situation, new environment. That'd be a horse I would really want to look at in the paddock if I could.
Yeah. So, Steve, this has been a very, very enjoyable seminar. And hopefully, we'll do a few more of these through the Triple Crown Trail. Our friend Jason is enjoying his time down under with Mrs. Racing Jason and the new grandchild. So, we want to wish them all the best with that new addition to the family. But hopefully, there will be some additional features on the Racing Jason website to make these things a little easier to find. Right now, we're posting them in the 2 free radio plays section, where when you tune in before 9 a.m. this morning, you will see a video link to this. And then hopefully, Steve, I'd like to do, if we can, maybe a couple of more of these throughout the Triple Crown Trail and figure it out and, keep, giving the listeners and now the viewers, some opportunities to hopefully get some handicapping selections and feedback from us and just hopefully help them make a little money on the Triple Crown Trail.
Absolutely, Jay. Really enjoyed it. I think we were in agreement for the most part. A lot of agreeing going on. Maybe we disagreed on 3 or 4 horses, but for the most part, I think we like some of the same horses, and I think that the listeners and viewers can do well with our information here.
Exactly. So again, you can pick up more of these selections. You'll see these videos posted both here at racingjason.com and here, if you're listening to the other platform, at Horse Racing World Channel. So please check out whichever one. Again, if you haven't subscribed to Horse Racing World Channel yet, we can use the subscribers so we can use the full capabilities of the YouTube platform. So hopefully that will happen in the next couple of weeks, and we can have the go live option if we want to do it that way. But the nice thing about taping is if we make a mistake, we can always erase it and do it again. So that's always a plus as well. And I did want to mention, I had alluded to this in the last video I put up at Horse Racing World Channel, that we are talking to the powers that be about a possible radio show of our own. It's not going to be at Santa Anita. As everybody knows that's listened to Jason's last show or maybe listen to some of the other shows in the market, Santa Anita is not currently doing radio sponsorship. And I don't know if that's ever going to come back. So at this point, we're not looking to do any sort of radio business with Santa Anita, at least this year. Yeah, if we do wind up getting our own show, hopefully we'll attract other sponsorships and maybe we can do it year round. Right now, I'm not looking any further than the Del Mar and maybe the Los Alamitos meets and not looking at Santa Anita with the sponsorship situation the way it is. But you never know in the future. But at this point, we'd just like to get back on the air, and it may be at that very same station. I can't tell you exactly what time it might be. We're still talking about that if it happens, but all I can say is, racing fans have listened to Jason's show in various time slots, and we do tend to be the type that get up early. So might have to get up a little bit earlier than usual if we work our way back on the air, but I'd love to be back on the air in time for the Del Mar meet.
Well, we're doing the best we can on that, Jay, and very excited to be here with you and kick this off. I hope the listeners enjoyed it, and I certainly enjoyed doing it with you. Thanks, Jay.
Thank you, Steve. It was great, and we'll do more of these. And we'll talk after the Derby, and maybe we'll have some commentary right here after the Derby. We'll see how it goes. But let's make some money. That's a big day where you can really do well in the exotics if you play your cards right. So let's have a great Derby weekend.
Let's do it, Jay.
Thank you, Steve.